My mom told me to leave, so I did. Just watch how she loses everything. This all happened when I was 15. My mom was, and likely still is, a mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive narcissist. Some standout moments include when she was teaching my twin sister and me to read when we were about 4 years old. It was around 2 a.m., and my sister was struggling to learn. My mom's solution? She beat her with a sandal every time she got a flashcard wrong. The same thing happened when I was 7. She had me copy an essay she'd written in my own handwriting, and whenever I started a letter the wrong way, like writing a capital M from the bottom line, she'd hit me with one of her Birkenstocks. This also happened late at night, and when I became too delirious from exhaustion and pain, she'd drag me by the neck and throw me into a cold shower to wake me up, just so we could continue this nightmare. When I was 13, I told her I wanted to live with my dad. They were divorced. She told me she didn't care what I did after I turned 18. Later, I realized this was because child support stopped at 18. Anyway, fast forward to when I was 15. Our relationship was, understandably, strained. We had guests over, and she loved to use visitors as a way to control our behavior through shame. It's harder to be an angsty teenager when her church friends are there watching and silently judging everything you do. It also gave her the chance to act like she was a firm but loving mother while making sly, hurtful remarks that felt like velvet daggers. I decided I wasn't going to subject myself to the whole charade, so I spent the day outside in the nearby woods. We lived in the mountains then, so I wasn't far from the house. Once I saw the guests had left, I went to go back inside, but my mother, perhaps unhappy at being denied her daily routine of emotional abuse, my mom told me I wasn't welcome and that I should leave. My 15-year-old brain processed her words, understanding that she likely meant for a short time, but it also realized that she hadn't specified any time frame. So, I hiked a couple of miles to a friend's house and asked if I could stay there for a few days. When my friend's dad found out why I was there, he was furious and told me I could stay as long as I needed. I didn't return home that evening or the next. My mom grew concerned and contacted law enforcement to report me missing. This was a big deal for several reasons. We lived in the mountains, in a national park, so there was a very real possibility that I could have been attacked by a wild animal, injured while hiking, drowned, or even kidnapped. Nobody knew about my mom's abusive tendencies or the squalor and neglect my sister and I lived in. Most importantly, the law enforcement officers were local park rangers who worked with my mom daily. Law enforcement immediately contacted my dad's side of the family to see if I had shown up there or contacted them. They panicked and came to my house with lawyers on standby. Law enforcement then hired dogs to track my scent, and everyone freaked out when the dogs tracked me to a nearby river, where my trail went cold because the dogs couldn't pick up any more scent. Over the next few days, people were going in and out of my house, rangers, lawyers, my family, and others. Several of them noticed the overpowering smell of cleaning chemicals, but only the lawyer questioned why the house would reek of chemicals. Meanwhile, the search expanded to canvass the nearby woods and neighborhood. My friend's dad eventually came to me and asked if there was somewhere else I could stay. He assured me that he wouldn't kick me out, but explained that he didn't want to have to lie to the police or allow the search dogs onto his property. My friend and I originally planned to go camping for a week, but instead, I decided to reach out to my dad's side of the family. I called them, and they picked me up right away. Naturally, everyone had questions when I explained what had been going on. The lawyers were horrified and quickly took action. A judge granted an emergency change of custody and ruled that my mom couldn't regain custody unless she underwent psychological evaluation and therapy, something she would never agree to. The park rangers, who were just as shocked, completely distanced themselves from my mother. Since her job allowed her to live on the park grounds, she lost both her job and her home when they cut ties with her. My friend's father, along with the local community and churches, also turned their backs on her. She ended up losing her job, her house, her church, and her friends, all because she told me to leave, and I did.